Level 1, Trainee. You are 22 years old, and you are lying face down in the dirt for the first time, not in combat. In a training field in Wiltshire, England, on a Tuesday morning in November, with rain coming down at the specific angle that finds the gap between your collar and your neck, and an instructor named Sergeant Briggs standing 6 feet behind you, telling you to slow down. You are not going fast. You are barely moving. That is the point. The device in front of you is a training replica, inert, harmless. Sergeant Briggs has told you this 3 times. Your hands do not believe him. Your hands are shaking in a way you have never experienced before. Not fear exactly, more like the body registering a situation it was not designed for and producing a physical response before the brain has finished processing. Briggs says, "Your hands are shaking." You say, "I know." He says, "That's normal." What's not normal is letting them shake while they're touching something. He crouches beside you. He puts his hands over yours. Massive, completely still. The hands of someone who has done this so many times, the stillness is no longer an effort. And he says, "Feel that." You feel it. He says, "That's what you're building toward." Not courage, not nerve. Stillness. You practice for 6 months. You learn to read circuits the way other people read words, quickly, automatically. The meaning arriving before the analysis. You learn that every device tells a story about the person who built it. You learn that the story is the most important thing. You learn patience in a way that no other profession teaches it. Patience measured in millimeters, in the width of a wire, in the space between contact and consequence. On the last day of training, Briggs signs your certification. He says, "You're good." He says, "Being good isn't enough." He says, "Come back alive." You don't understand what he means yet. Level 2, Operator. You are 26 and you are in Afghanistan. The device is on a dirt road outside Helmand Province, partially exposed by erosion, the triggering mechanism visible through the disturbed earth. You are the second operator on scene. Your team leader, a staff sergeant named Cooper, has done the initial assessment and called you forward. Cooper says, "IED, pressure plate, command wire running north." He says, "Yours. Yours." That is the entirety of the briefing. In training, they gave you context, background, time. In the field, there is the device, and there is you, and there is the space between you that you have to cross alone. You suit up. 40 kilograms of protective equipment that protects you from some things and not from others, and that you have learned not to think about too carefully. You walk toward the device. The walk is the part civilians don't understand. You are walking towards something that could end you. Every step is a choice. You choose each one. You lie down. You begin. The work is the same as training and completely different. The same physical actions, the same tools, the same sequence, the same trained hands. But the consequence of error has changed in a way that changes everything around the action without changing the action itself. You find the secondary. There is almost always a secondary, a second triggering mechanism designed to catch the person who successfully defeats the first. Finding it is the difference between going home and not going home. You defeat both. You stand up. You walk back. Cooper nods once. You do not feel heroic. You feel the specific flatness of a body that has been running on adrenaline for 40 minutes and is now running on nothing. You feel your hands, which are still. That night you call home. Your mother asks how you are. You say fine. She says you sound tired. You say it has been a long day. It has been the longest day of your life, and you cannot explain a single minute of it to anyone who is not there. Level 3, Team Leader. You are 31 and the weight is different now, not the suit. The suit is the same 40 kilograms it has always been. The weight is the 3 people behind you whose lives are partly your responsibility. Operator Chen, who is 24 and brilliant and too fast. Operator Walsh, who is 27 and methodical and sometimes too slow. Medic Okafor, who has been with you for 2 years and who you trust more than almost anyone alive. You are in Iraq. The device is in a market building, complex, multi-component, designed by someone who knows what they are doing. The assessment takes 40 minutes before you even begin the approach. Chen says, "I can go in." You say, "I know you can. I'm going." This is the hardest part of being a team leader, not the devices. The decisions about who goes toward the devices. You send yourself because the device is complex, and because Chen is 24, and because you have more experience, and because you are the team leader, and because you would not be able to live with sending someone else to something you assessed as this difficult. You also know that this logic is not always correct. Sometimes the right person to send is not you. Learning to know the difference is the work of years. You go in. The device takes 1 hour and 14 minutes. There are 3 triggering mechanisms. The third is the one that almost gets you. A tension wire so fine it is nearly invisible in the market building dust, positioned exactly where a right-handed operator would brace while working on the second mechanism. You are right-handed. You feel the resistance before you put your weight on it. 1 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter. The margin between this and not this. You back off. You reassess. You find a different approach. You defeat it. Walking back through the market building afterward, the building quiet and empty around you, you think about Chen. You think about Walsh. You think about Okafor with the medical kit ready outside. You think they're still there. They're all still there. That thought carries you for a long time. Level 4. Senior Operator. You are 38, and you have been doing this for 16 years. The devices have changed. They are more sophisticated, more varied, built by people who study the techniques used to defeat them and adapt. The job has changed with them. You spend more time now in briefing rooms and less time in the field, not by choice, but by rank, by experience, by the institutional recognition that your knowledge is worth more deployed in planning than in execution. You still go to the field. You're in a city you cannot name in a country whose name you will not write down. And the device is inside a building that contains 47 civilians who cannot be evacuated because the device is connected to a sensor that monitors movement and weight. The scenario is the worst kind. The kind designed not just to kill, but to make saving people impossible. You spend 6 hours on the assessment. Your team builds a 3-dimensional model of the building's interior from sensor data. You run 17 different approach scenarios before you find one that has a viable outcome. Chen is on your team now. He is 31 and no longer too fast. He looks at your scenario and says, "That's the one." You go in together. The device takes 3 hours and 20 minutes. At the 2-hour mark, there is a moment, a single moment, where you make a decision that you will think about for the rest of your life. A junction point in the device's architecture where 2 approaches are possible, and you choose one. And it is the right choice, and you will never be completely certain whether you chose it because of your experience or because of luck. The 47 civilians walk out of the building. You do not tell anyone about the moment where you were not certain. That is the weight of 16 years. Not the devices, not the danger, but the private knowledge of the moments where the margin was thinner than anyone outside the suit ever knew. Level 5. The last job. You're 44 years old and you have already decided this is the last one. Not in the moment. The decision was made 3 weeks ago, sitting at a kitchen table in Birmingham with a cup of tea going cold in front of you and a form on the table that required a signature. The form was a contract renewal. You did not sign it. You sat with it for 3 hours and then you folded it and put it in the recycling bin and you felt something leave your body that you had been carrying for 22 years. Then this came in, and you said yes, because you are who you are, and because saying no to this particular device with your particular knowledge would have felt like abandoning something. The device is in London, a train station, rush hour. You know within 30 seconds of the assessment that this is the most complex device you have ever seen, not because of its size, because of the thinking behind it. The person who built this understood not just electronics, but psychology. The psychology of the operator who would have to defeat it. Every choice in its construction is a choice designed to make the person defeating it second-guess themselves. You have been second-guessed before. You know what it feels like. You know how to separate the doubt the device is trying to create from the genuine doubt that comes from something actually being wrong. You go in alone. Your team is outside. Chen is the backup, which is the right call. If you don't come back, Chen comes in, and Chen is good enough now. The device takes 2 hours and 40 minutes. At the 1 hour mark, you find something you have never seen before, a design element that does not fit the established pattern. You stop. You sit with it for 11 minutes in a train station with a device between you and whatever comes next. And you understand it. You understand it because you have been doing this for 22 years, and because Sergeant Briggs put his hands over yours when you were 22 years old and said, "Feel that," and because every device you have ever defeated is in your hands somewhere. The knowledge accumulated and available when you need it. You defeat the device. You walk out of the train station into daylight and noise and the ordinary chaos of London, and you stand on the pavement for a long time with your hands at your sides. Your hands are still. They are always still now. 22 years of building that stillness until it is just who you are. The stillness underneath everything, available in a train station in London on the last day of a career that asked more of you than you knew you had to give and received it every time. Chen is beside you. He says, "That was the last one." You say, "That was the last one." He says, "How does it feel?" You think about Briggs. You think about Cooper. You think about the dirt road in Helmand, and the market building in Iraq, and the city you cannot name, and the 47 civilians walking out of a building, and the tension wire you felt before you put your weight on it. You think about 22 years of walking toward things that other people walked away from. You think about the form in the recycling bin in Birmingham. You say, "It feels like enough." You put your hands in your pockets. You walk away.